Hey everyone, it's Andrew LuckyChewy Lichtenberger for octopipoker.com, and today I wanted to take a look at a pretty interesting hand that happened this January at the PokerGo studio in the Last Chance series. So in this series, players were able to accrue some last-minute points to try and qualify for the end-of-year free roll. I was certainly in there doing my best, but to no avail. I bricked it 2 years in a row. But enough of a sob story from me. Let's check out this hand. Here we have four-handed, you know, pretty classic cast of characters, bunch of amazing players. Stephen Chidwick, Sam Soverel, Alex Foxen, and Artur Martirosyan. And the action starts off here with Stevie opening in the cutoff to 2.2 big blinds with ace-7 offsuit, pretty normal play. And then Sam goes for a call on the button with ace-9, and this to me is a little surprising. I think that, at least the way that I see these kinds of spots, ace-9 is sort of one of the best hands to 3-bet. You knock out some hands that have decent equity against you. You also prevent the blinds from playing the hand, either through calling or squeezing. And it's just not really the type of hand that I would think you want to play as a call. Ace-9 suited makes a lot of sense. Even ace-10 offsuit I think makes sense. But I tend to think that, just the disconnected nature of this, but also the, relatively formidable both high card and blocker strength make it a pretty solid hand for 3-betting. And then Alex in the small blind has the decision with Jack-10 suited. You could see how in a sort of chippy V scenario, this hand might want to shove and just attack the wide ranges from cutoff and button. But with the added risk premium and sort of preference to reduce variance, from what I imagine Alex's perspective would be at a final table, he decides to call. Artur folds, and we take the flop three ways. So Alex goes ahead and checks, which makes sense. He's out of position against two players. There's no reason he should have any sort of distinct equity advantage, although he does have the tightest range here, just being that he called out of position against two players that cover him at a final table. Stevie with his middle pair goes ahead and checks, and Sam with ace high and the backdoor nut flush draw bets around a quarter pot. And this is where things get spicy. Alex goes ahead and raises it up, and Stevie folds, which is understandable. He's got Sam behind him, and even though his hand has some pretty nice properties in that he doesn't block any flush draws, and he blocks a set, which is going to be one of the sort of main value hands that Alex could turn up with here. He just goes ahead and gets out of the way. It's not super clear how he would even want to continue if he did stick around. Calling and raising both have sort of clear downsides, so it makes sense. And then Sam does call the raise in position here with 3 to the nut flush, and you can imagine that he was thinking that Alex's value range here is just very limited. It's not clear that if Alex had a hand like Queen Jack or Queen 10 that he would raise. He may just call, meaning that, the range you're up against might be a number of hands like this, which have some decent backdoor draws, or maybe a hand like, I guess 5-6 is something, potentially a hand like 4-5 suited, or maybe 7-8 suited, but those hands, it's not always clear if they're even going to call pre-flop. So yeah, we're definitely down the rabbit hole. There's sort of unique action sequence here, and not super clear what the ranges are going to look like in terms of really just what the value thresholds are. If Alex is playing a queen like this, which he could, then Sam's play becomes a lot worse. If Sam thinks that Alex is more polarized with the flop raise, then it makes a lot more sense to stick around and try to steal the pot in position. So then Alex gets a dream turn, which is the king of spades, and now he's got an open-ended straight draw and a flush draw. And it's super interesting, his course of action here. He goes ahead and checks. And, the first thing one should look to analyze here is who is this king better for? So, Alex could have a hand like king queen. Sam could as well. Both players can have king high diamonds. I would say that probably this card is a little bit better for Sam than it is for Alex, justifying the check even more so. And that's largely just because if Alex does have uh, a hand which is top pair queens in his range, and the king is not pleasant. So yeah, he's just sort of checking to Sam and looking to see what develops here. Sam's range is going to be a little bit more draw heavy, I think, just when he plays passively here against the check raise. Um, it's hard to say, honestly, though. The ranges here, when they get condensed like this, and then both players also have hands that are relatively low down in their range, can always be a bit misleading. Um, but Sam does go ahead and seize the opportunity to, again, bet around a third of the pot this time. Presumably just looking to fold out a hand like I mentioned, maybe like a 4-5 suited or a 7-8 kind of hand. Um, yeah, possibly he's thinking that Alex may have a hand like 10-9 of diamonds or something, which maybe he could. And those hands, I guess maybe he's thinking they might call. I'm not really sure. It's a bit interesting. He has a hand that's really not going to win very often at showdown. You'd have to expect that if the turn goes check check and Alex checks the river, probably he's not just giving up with nothing. Oftentimes he will either have bet the turn or bet the river if he has nothing. So yeah, it's just kind of an interesting scenario that doesn't really occur that often, and that's why I thought it would be fun to explore. So feel free to add your thoughts either here on social or come to the link and just add your thoughts in the chat section, and let's get some discussion going on this. Um, Alex does go ahead and check raise all in, which makes a lot of sense. He has a hand that unblocks diamonds, which you don't really expect your opponent to bet fold with a flush draw in position at this stack depth, but it is possible. You could almost say that not having diamonds might be a slight net negative if we think that Sam has king high diamonds here. But, these players have a lot of history. I've played quite a bit myself with both of them. And it is the case at higher levels of play that you do kind of have to always give your opponents credit for being able to find creative hands to bet with that are not super strong and which will fold to further aggression, which, as we see here, is exactly what happens. So, nicely done, Mr. Foxen, as always, and, a valiant attempt by Sam, but to no avail this time.